Draft season. It's mock draft season. Right after this, you'll find out who the 49ers draft.
Let's go get him. Let's go get him today, man. Let's go. Hey, dominate on three. 1, 2, 3. Dominate.
Welcome back to another episode. This is your host, Marco, my co-host, Rohan. How's it going, Rohan?
Hey man, we're doing good. We're doing good. I mean, like you said, it's mock draft season. It's already up on
Man,
us,
it's
and
my favorite time of the year.
it's the best time of the year. When it's mock draft season, it's the best time of the year. We can say whatever we want. We can predict whatever we want, and then halftime it ends up coming true. So it's all right.
And the only other difference is if the Niners are in the Super Bowl, then that's the best time of the season. But Niners aren't in the Super Bowl. They didn't win the Super Bowl, but they're drafting. They don't got a first or second round draft pick. Their first round draft pick is technically Trey Lance still. Their second round draft pick is Christian McCaffrey. So first and foremost, let's kind of go a little quick back and forth. Who do you think what the position most important of need is for the 49ers before we start?
I mean, it's tough, right? Because when you talk about positions of need, the 49ers don't really have too many positions of need. But I think that there are several positions that you could look at. And I mean, the number one that people are going to point to, I think, is right tackle, understanding that you don't necessarily have a frontline starter at right tackle. And I think that with the potential of getting one of the top 7, 6 guys on the board, I think that you could get a right tackle who you believe can be your future guy. That's the option. Another position I'll look to, potentially tight end. I think tight end could be a position of need, understanding the 49ers are looking for that second tight end to complement George Kittle so that they can operate out of 21 personnel, something that's become a little more well known in the NFL. And so to me, I think that it's one of those two positions. That's where I'm going to probably lean to. But really, I'm anticipating full BPA, and that's how I anticipate I'll draft today as well.
Absolutely. So usually the way I do mock drafts, I don't really go for position of need. What I like to do is good teams, good GMs, they draft a year in advance. So what that means is, for example, if the Niners have, for example, they might need a left tackle in the future. You're going to draft someone or a fullback next year, stuff like that. Like, what are positions they're going to need next year? So not 2023, but 2024. So that's the way a lot of GMs draft. I think Niners need a center in 2024. So to me, I like to do a little bit of what do they need in the future, as well as BPA. We could get straight to it. We'll put both of our screens on the board. We're gonna kind of be running a simultaneous mock draft. We get to do whatever we want. If we want to trade up, trade down. Um, we might trade up. Who knows? I don't know how Rohan's going to go about it. We have not talked about our mock draft. It's
Yeah.
kind of a surprise. I don't know.
I'm also going to do a disclaimer. I normally post like the mock drafts that I do on Twitter. I haven't done one yet. Like I'm going to be totally honest. I haven't done a legitimate mock draft where I've sat through all 7 rounds and done it. I've been watching the film, so I'll know the players, but I haven't done an actual mock draft. So I don't know how these simulators kind of fall. The board kind of falls. Who's going to be there or not? What's realistic and not? We'll see. Because I mean, last year was fun. So we'll definitely see how this one goes this year.
So for me, I usually do mock drafts. I don't post them though. Like to me, what I like to do is much rather do a mock draft like this one. And for me, I'm just trying to get to it. I'm the kind of person that when I do mock drafts, I'm not too crazy about things. Like I don't know. Like I am looking at my second screen, just because I do have notes. I do have other stuff going on. Um, so if you want to get started, Ron, you could go first. I think your screen is the main one on the screen.
Here, let's move that. Now it is. And yeah, so I will start this off. As you can see, we're starting from pick one. And we're not gonna go too fast so that we can understand exactly who's on the board if we want to trade up. And while the board simulates 299 where we are picking, we see first of all there are a couple of trades. I mean, the Texans traded to number 5 up from number 12 to select Tyree Wilson in this one. And I mean, that's how drafts are. Drafts go trade crazy. But Marco, as we talk about this, do you envision the 49ers sticking at 99, 101, and 102?
No, I actually don't. I think the Niners trade up. So I do think we do trade up. They have 11 draft picks. You could use some capital next year. You could use some capital in the following years. I think the perfect draft spot to get to is around that 45 to 50 range. So to me, that's kind of what I want to do.
And I would agree. And it's interesting because Cody Malk just went off the board at 50. And initially, I'm looking at tackle, understanding, well, Matthew Bergeron's here. The guy who I like in Wanya Morris is here. And then they've got Jalen Duncan and Blake Freeland. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty comfortable that I can wait a little bit, wait for the tackles to fall, and then potentially trade up in the early third round for the future guy. Because there are a couple of guys here that I think can make a huge difference for this team. Maybe not as much in year one. Freeland just went at 56, but moving forward. And here is where I believe I'm going to make the move. We're going to go with Houston here at 65. Or actually, no, I'm going to go, I think, with Arizona because if I'm correct, Arizona doesn't have too. They've got a solid amount of picks. I want to go to a team that I think needs a little bit more in terms of assets, and that's where I'm looking at. Arizona, they've got a solid amount, but they might look to get more picks, especially in the middle rounds of this draft. Understanding they're in a rebuild, they need to fill a lot of positions right now. The other team I'm looking for, like I just said, was Houston. Houston has that, but they've got a good amount of picks. So I'm going to simulate one pick, and then I'm going to make a move with a division rival in Arizona. And so I think that that's going to be a tougher move than you might anticipate. But I'm going to go for 66, and I'm going to try and get this done. But I do understand that it will cost likely a little more than you'd expect given it's a division rival. I'm immediately going to try and package 101 and 102 together. And my goal here is also to get back a potential 6th round pick in this class. I understand there's a pick here at 213. I think that if you can get 213 back here and complement that with what they have in the later rounds, you just position yourself pretty well to potentially move up a little later. And so I'm going to position 101, 102. And first, I'm going to do 101, 102, and I'm going to do 173. I'll see if they accept this. What do you think about this trade, Marco?
I actually like it because if you're looking at it the way, if you could get that third rounder, that early third, you still have a third rounder, you're not giving up too much draft capital. I would actually do that. I really would.
And we'll see if they accept this, and they don't. So that means they want more. And well, they just want one spot ahead. I forget that it doesn't immediately pause, which means we're going to try and move up with the Titans. They got similar to us. They got 3 picks within 5. They might want to. They don't have a single pick within that 72 to 139 range. Let's give them them. And so we'll move up with 99, 102. We'll go 155, and we'll also give them the 6th round pick here. You get 4 picks here: 99, 102, 155. And then we'll give them, or not 155, sorry, 164, and we'll give them a 216. How do you feel about this?
I feel like you're giving up a little much because at 164, we lost a fifth rounder, fifth rounder, 5th or 6th. I guess is a 5th. I'm not too good with numbers.
I think 164 is the 5th, 216 is the very back of the 6th.
Yeah, I think a little too much, but it depends. If there's a guy you like there, if you think Jalen Duncan, Matthew Bergen is there, and I think who you might like, I think you do it. I think that's a no-brainer.
I think so as well, especially because you've got enough to position yourself a little later. We'll see. I'll first try and do this because they do have back-to-back picks. So I'll first try and do this without 216. But if they want more, then that's what I'm going to have to do. But it's been accepted. The 49ers are on the clock here at 67. And to me, I think this pick is pretty clear. I want to go with offensive tackle.
Oh.
Hendon Hooker, really?
I don't know.
You really brought up Hendon Hooker? I mean, Hendon Hooker is not a bad prospect. I was going to go to all. I wanted to see the entire board. Oh man, Keanu Benton's here, man. Keanu Benton is here.
Don't play with my feelings, man.
Keanu Benton is here. I mean, like, he's a guy who I would definitely take here at 67. I like Keanu Benton. I
Look
like
at
him as
the
a
edge
player.
rushers. He's there at edge.
Solid edge class here. But I mean, let's see the corners. All right, there are a
Well,
couple of
while
corners.
Rohan's drafting, I'm gonna let my simulator run through the first 2 rounds because I don't plan on trading
That
up
makes
until
sense. But to me, I think this pick, to me, despite the best, I think the best player on the board is Keanu Benton. But I think the most important pick here, and potentially one of the better players on the board, I'm going to go with Matthew Bergeron here at 67. I think that that's where I'm going to go. And I mean, the board thinks as I think, because Keanu Benton goes at 68. He goes right after where I go to the Tennessee Titans. But my first pick, trading up to 67, probably gave up a good amount of capital, right? I gave up 2 third-round picks and a fifth-round pick to move up about 32 spots to the very early part of the third round. And I get Matthew Bergeron. We will initially look to slide and compete at right tackle, potentially even be the future guy at left tackle after Trent Williams retires.
So if you look over to mine, I'm already at pick 62. About to go
Let's
into
flip
the
the
third
screen.
about to go into the third round. Looking at this, there's a couple guys I like. I do like Duncan. I do like Antonio. See, now this is where
Antonio
I start
Johnson's interesting, man.
thinking. So, like, for the future. So, I probably I don't know, Antonio Johnson might go off the board, but I'm gonna let it slide a little bit. The moment I see it where I wanna go, I'm not gonna go yet. I'm gonna make a trade with the Raiders at pick
Okay.
7. I know you just went to pick 72 because I'm afraid there's a player that's gonna fly off the board right now. So I'm gonna see if the Raiders are willing to take a trade for me. I'm gonna go pick 70. I'm gonna go pick 99, 102, and I'll throw in pick 173. If it doesn't happen, I don't mind. I'm not too crazy. It was accepted.
There
So
you
I gave
go.
up I gave up pick 99, 102, and 173. I'm taking by far, and I'm not even gonna question it, Antonio Johnson.
Yeah,
Uh,
there you
reason
go.
is so I think Antonio Johnson is a legit safety. I think he's a borderline first rounder. I've never done mock drafts where he falls that far. I think the Niners do have a need in the future at safety.
Mhm.
Um, especially because if you look at how the Niners want to draft, and you go to yours too, go over to yours now. Um, but just the way I look at Antonio Johnson, to me, he reminds me of Derwin James. Now, not as athletic, not as the freaky athlete that Derwin James is, but that's who he reminds me of. Um,
Okay.
let's go. Let's go ahead and throw yours on the board, and then you're on the clock, Rohan.
So remember what I said earlier about wanting to space those picks out. I didn't want to draft at 99, 101, and 102. We move up, so we don't have to draft at 99, 101, and 102. One gap I'm immediately looking at though on my roster. If we just go to fake propose a trade, I don't have a pick here between in the fourth round. I don't have a pick between 101 and 155. That is a hole I do want to address. But I think right now what I'm going to let happen is let the board settle and see who falls to me at the back end of the third round, understanding there's a lot of talent. Antonio Johnson, the guy who Marco picked, he goes at 75 to Jacksonville. Pretty solid spot there. I mean, Sidney Brown was the guy who I was thinking about from Illinois. He went earlier in the third round. And as we dwindle down here, there are a couple of players. Joe Timpman, a nice player from Wisconsin, a center there. He goes at 89. Zach Pickens, a defensive tackle here. He goes. Jonathan Mingo, a guy who the 49ers have been connected to, goes at 95. And now we're on the board here at 101. And I think that this is an interesting pick. There's a lot of places we can go. My number one goal is go with the best player available. Now, the number one player on the board, according to their board, is immediately flashing to me, and that is Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta, tight end out of Iowa. The 49ers need a tight end, and the board fell perfectly to where Sam Laporta is there. Now, I will say, I do like the tight end depth in this class. I think that there are a lot of talented players. think Luke Schoonmaker from Michigan could be a target. Will Mallory in his athleticism, Payne Durham, Josh Wiley, Davis Allen, Brenton Strange. I think there are a lot of players. Braden Willis, too. The 49ers have shown interest in him. I think there is a lot of good talent here at the tight end position. So that's what I'm going to think about. Is it worth spending a third round pick here on the tight end, who I think is very good, but also understand that there's a good amount of depth? Looking elsewhere on the board, I want to look at the safety and the corner position. At safety right now, there are a couple of interesting players. I don't think I would take anyone here at 100. At corner, Hodges Tomlinson's interesting. Jacorian Bennett and his speed. But there are a couple of guys here down the board who I think that the 49ers would be interested in. So I think that this is a tough pick. And interestingly enough, I think I'm going to trade back here at 100. I think I'm going to trade back at 101, try and get a pick around the 120s and accumulate some extra capital. And a team that I will look to target here, I think I'll go with the Detroit Lions here at 116. That's going to be my target. I think I'm going to trade back here, try and accumulate extra capital and move forward. The Detroit Lions here, 101. I'm going to ask for 183 back. Do you think that this is good capital to return? This might not be the best team, understanding that there's a huge gap between 150 and 180.
I mean, you might be able to get it done. Depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to accumulate that back end pick just to trade back up later, then it could work. It all just depends on what you're trying to do. So for
Yeah,
me, I wouldn't
that's
mind
how
it
it
because
is.
if that's what you're thinking, then it makes sense. I probably would trade. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I'm still thinking. I probably might trade back. I might just chill, depending on who's on the board, and then trade back up. Hopefully, because we have a lot of back end picks now. This thing that sucks is Niners have a lot of 6th and 7th rounders. Those
Yeah.
aren't valid.
No, I agree. I agree. And so here's what I think I'm going to do. I think I'm going to go at 129, trade to 129. Oh, sorry, not 129, 117. I'm going to go for 117, 184, and we'll see if this gets done. And it does. So now I'm sitting at 117. And do you want to go, Marco? Because I just made a trade, or should I continue forward?
We could go down. We'll throw mine on the board, and then I'll let it run down, and then depending on what I do, if you're on the clock before me, then we'll let it roll. I should have let mine roll. Sam Laporta just went at 75 right now. That kind of sucks to see.
Interesting.
That was a guy that you really like. It's
Yeah.
interesting how these mock drafts will be completely different since Rohan and I both like right now. Matthew Bergen just went at 86, and he got him in the 70s. Zach Harrison's a guy I like. Warren
He
McClendon is a
just
guy I
went at
like.
114 for me. Yeah.
So I got an offer. So pick 124
That's interesting. Okay.
and a future 4th for 101 and pick 255. Now, I want to see who's on the board. There's a couple of players I'm kind of intrigued with to start. I do like Carter Warren. I think he's a solid player. I think the Niners do need an offensive tackle. I do like Wanya Morris and Jordan
Yeah.
McFadden in the sense of they are talents that I could develop. Oh man. Defensively, I already got my safety. I do think they need another edge, but none of the edge rushers is there or anything I like. Defensive tackle, I don't really care for him. So now I'm looking at the center class. Ricky Stromberg. Ah, man, I think I'd have a better opportunity to trade back. Looking at this trade offer, I'm gonna what about we get rid of that 150, that 4th, try to get pick 157 and throw in 222 and see if they take it. I don't think they do, but if they do, I'll take it. Boom. Perfect. Now I got an extra 5th. Let's see who they end up taking, actually. They got Jalen Jones. I didn't want Jalen Jones anyways. So now, Rohan, you're back on the clock because you're ahead of me.
All right. So here I am. A couple of my targets. Sam Laporta at 111. Zach Harrison at 114. Even Izzy Abanika. I don't know how to say his last name, so I'm not even going to try. He was solid. I wouldn't have taken him this high, but he was solid. But now we're here at 114, and I think I'm going to let this one play out until my pick. Two receivers. I wasn't going to go receiver, and this is an interesting trade because there are a couple of guys that I was looking at that I still like, and I think I'm also going to accept this offer. Go back 5 spots, let the board settle down, get another pick, and now I'm back here at 122, and this is where I am. A lot of interesting players on the board. A couple of running backs. If we look at the two positions I was looking at, that was safety and that was corner. I thought that those were two positions that I liked the value at this point. Byron Young is here from Tennessee. I might have to trade up and get him. But at the moment, I think I'm going to go with safety here. I like the cornerback depth. There are a couple of guys down the board that I like a little bit. And I think I'm going to go with Jair Brown here. I think Jair Brown fits the team. I think he could be a solid replacement next year for Tashawn Gibson. And I think that they could even look to incorporate with 3 safety sets.
That makes sense. So,
all right. So it's back on you now. And what pick are you at?
So I paused it right now just because my guy. So this is the thing about mock drafts that I hate. The Raiders just took my guy Wanya Morris. I was hoping he'd be there at the 124 I'm at. So I'm kind of pausing it a little bit because I did acquire that extra fifth. And I kind of want to take a look at the receiver class. You know what? I'm gonna let it play out. Doesn't matter what happens. I'm gonna play the board. I want a center for the future. So I think at 124, I could find a center for the future. Yeah, like Jesse just said, he goes, Raider said, get wrecked. Absolutely. They just wrecked my entire mock draft. Like they completely ruined my entire vibe of the day.
Hey, I mean, we gave him Jimmy, so they ended up doing that, so it's all right.
I would rather have Wanya Morris than Jimmy all day, every day. Better name. Like, that's a classic name. So looking at the players that are, I'm gonna go just all players. Now, looking at it, I don't think the Niners need a running back. Those are the two top guys on the board. They don't need a safety because I already traded up and I got Antonio Johnson. Now, I could go offensive tackle, but realistically, there is no offensive tackle on the board that I'm like, that'd be a smart move. Realistically, they're going to probably have to roll with whoever's on the team because of how I drafted to start. That's how I'm kind of envisioning it. Kyle really likes Colton McKivitz. I'm going to roll with it and then draft someone that's developmental later down the line. Going to look at the center's position. I do like Juice Scruggs, but I think I could have him later in the draft. I do have picks. If I look at it, I have pick 164 and 155, 157, and 164. This is a range where I absolutely love, and I could trade up with pick 216 and 247 from 155 if someone falls. So I'm not going to, if someone starts going that I really like. So I'm not going to really worry about that. Now, I do think the Niners are going to have to eventually think about receiver at some point as well as tight end. Tight end, I really do like Luke Schoonmaker. He's there right now. I really love Will Mallory. He's a guy who's very athletic, great hands, good route runner from Miami. So when I'm looking at it, I'm like, ooh, what do I want to do? I'm going to go receiver.
Okay, there we go.
So if we look at it, Niners receiver 3 is a question mark. Now, when I say that, I do believe in Jawan Jennings, but he's not going to be on the roster next year. The likelihood that he gets paid pretty nicely, it's a good chance. Now, when you look at BA, there's rumors that they're taking calls on him. Deebo Samuel might be moved. Now, it's going to be odd for some people, but I'm going to give you guys a name, and I'm going to give you guys my notes on him before I even... Actually, I'll give you my notes before I say who it is.
Go for it.
Let me find my notes on him because I know who I'm taking. I just want to make sure I give you guys some intriguing information on him.
Okay.
At the combine, he did size up at 5'10", 204. He didn't really test at the combine, but what I think he's a deep threat. He could return the kicks and punts year one. Um, what I really like about him, his run after the catch. He's a weapon with strong balance. His hands are probably the best in the class. He has better 50-50 ball than his size shows. Now, where he needs to work on his true NFL route running. He's not the traditional receiver build, and his ceiling is he might already be peaking his ceiling, but I think this is a guy who I have to go with. So for me, I'm going Parker Washington.
Okay. Okay.
Favorite players in this draft
You
class,
got a
by the
Penn State guy. I got a Penn State guy. That's how it is, I guess. But Parker
way.
Washington. Oh no, what happened?
Oh,
Oh, you got to restart here. I've got your guys. So if you want, I can tell you, and you can make the same kind of moves, and we can just go as if you made the same kind of moves. Or
damn.
if you want, you go ahead. You do it all again.
No. I'm gonna try to make the same moves. You keep going. I'm gonna try to make the same moves, see if it works. I forgot where I
All right.
traded up and everything. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. But while he goes, I'm on the clock because I just made a move behind the scenes. I wanted to trade up. Remember when I said I wanted to move down from 101? I liked the pick early on to get Matthew Bergeron. And then I had value at 101, but I thought there were a lot of players on the board that I liked. So I moved back here at one. I moved back to one. I was 117. Moved back again to 122. But now with the capital that I've acquired from both of my trade downs, I just made a move with the Atlanta Falcons, who did not have many picks, and they now moved 150 or 127. I moved 155, 184, 216, and 247. Pretty big trade. You moved two of your seventh round picks, one late sixth, one seventh. I think 184 is an early sixth, and then you move a fifth round pick as well. So the 49ers moving a good amount of picks here. I'm going on the clock at 127, and that is because there are a couple of players here at 127 who I like. Will Mallory just went off the board. That was one of the tight end targets I had. And I mean, when I look at the board, there are a couple of positions that I'm looking at based on the depth here. Wide receiver, I like the depth. I think that Andre Iosovas out of Princeton, a burner. Charlie Jones is a very underrated player. I like him out of Purdue. Tank Adele, obviously that speed, the explosiveness, you might want that. At the cornerback position, there are a couple of players who I like as well. And when you look at the cornerbacks, Jacorian Bennett, Catrell Clark, Garrett Williams, those are three players that you might look at for the 49ers. I think that those players can be get later down on the board. And I think that that's somewhere where you got to look at. But this trade was made specifically for one player, and that is Byron Young out of Tennessee. I thought Byron Young, I'm not sure why Byron Young's still on the board here, but since he is, you got to take advantage. I made the move up. 49ers get another edge rusher, and it really adds to the depth the 49ers have. I think that that's really valuable.
So I'm still waiting. So you can keep going. I completely messed up my draft. I'm gonna try to do it as good as I had it to have pick 155 and 157 next, and then 160s and all that. You keep going. I'm gonna try to figure
All
things
right.
out on the fly. Hopefully, I can catch
And
up to you.
all right. And while I keep going, the guy who I wanted later on, Charlie Jones, goes just two picks ahead of me. I mean, behind me, and he's a Patriots pick. Not at all surprised there that the Patriots of all teams selected him. But after the trade, if you guys want to look at what my picks are, I have 173, 180, 222, 253, and 255. Right now, my goal, I think I want to move up from 173, but I might stay put. Depends on how the board ends up falling. Depends on some of these corners. If some of the corners here, Jacorian Bennett, K. Trey Clark, Garrett Williams, when they start to fall, Williams goes here at 149. And that might, we've got a cornerback run going on here 149, 152, 153. And I do want myself a cornerback, and I don't want to lose, to really miss out here, and that might mean I trade up here at 160. If my guy stays at 160, Moss goes, Catrell Clark goes, and that must mean I've got to move up here at 159 or 160. I'm gonna wait till 160 to the Giants and Andrew Voorhees goes, which means Jacorian Bennett, the guy who I'm looking for, he's who I want to move up for, and that means I got to trade with the New York Giants here. moving up 13 spots. Going to do it with 173 and 222 here. We'll see if that gets done. It does not, but instead, I'm going to make sure I get this deal done. Got capital next year. Remember, the 49ers, they've got picks. They definitely do have some picks. I'm going to see if I can move a 7th next year to get this deal done, and that works. So a 6th this year, a 5th this year, and a 7th next year. I'm here on the board at 160, and Jacorian Bennett is a guy who I think is going to be pretty solid. Good speed out of Maryland. I know they've got a good duo here in the draft this year. When you look at the positions I've already targeted, I've gone after a safety, I've gone after a cornerback, I've gone after an edge rusher, 3 good defensive players, or I'm about to go after a cornerback, excuse me. And offensively, I've gone after a tackle. So some places I still want to draft. I still want to get a receiver because of the class. I still want to get a tight end, and there's a lot of tight end talent still remaining. So those 2 positions are positions I'm still going for, and I still do want to see if I can get a quarterback in this class. I think that that's valuable too. Those are the 3 that I'm looking for based on what the 49ers are looking at. Jacorian Bennett, though, here at 160, based on the cornerback run, he's my pick.
Quick question, Rohan. So I picked at 120. I picked at 70 and 124, right?
Are you saying so you traded up with the Raiders? That was
70.
the team you traded up for, and that is 70. And then 124 sounds correct. Sounds about correct.
Okay, so I got a trade, and the closest I'm gonna get, I got proposed. Pick 110 and 159. I picked up 157 earlier, so I'll just pick someone at 150 at 110. And I'll try to pick the state Washington just so it keeps it exactly the same.
That works. Yeah, that works.
And yeah, it'll be exactly the same now. And then my second
Do you
computer
want
died.
if you want your deal, if you want the deal that you have here, I'll put yours on the board here as we move forward. All right.
My second
So,
computer died, so I can't see anything that's going on. So you're running the show, bro. I'm not gonna change
oh, so
anything.
you can't see your screen?
I can see my mock, but I can't see anything else.
Got it. Okay. So take us through who you've drafted so far.
So far, I went through. I try to do the same as possible. Antonio Johnson literally got picked right before I went, so I took Keanu Benton. I really like Keanu Benton. I think he's going to be a very good defensive tackle in this class. I picked 110. I have Parker Washington. Those are
Who
my
you
2 picks
initially
so
picked?
far. It was the same exact 2 picks. So just swap out um, Antonio Johnson for him. Parker Washington goes next, and I'm picking at 155, 150. It was supposed to be 157 earlier, but it's 2 picks later. Not too big of a deal. And I still have a whole lot of draft capital to go with. So let's just keep rolling and see what I have. So I know I pick
Sounds
at
good.
155 later, but
So
looking
yeah,
at
we'll go through your pick here, and then I'll move forward with mine.
I know I pick at 155 later. I do like the tight end class. Um, Luke Schoonmaker, Payne. I'm honestly just gonna let it roll out only because one of those tight ends are gonna fall to me most likely.
Exactly.
As long as one of those tight ends fall to me, I'll be happy. And at that point, I could go ahead and actually both tight ends fall to me. So
Yep. So Marco's got a couple of options here. Luke Schoonmaker out of Michigan. He's a guy, and while he returns, I'll continue to mine before he makes his pick. So remember, with my draft, I am picking here at 180. Ah, he's back. Perfect. So
am I
looking
back?
back at his screen, yeah, you're good.
Oh, I thought I've been here the whole time. I've been talking the whole time.
Nah, you cut for a minute. So you're here on the clock. Who are you going with?
So I'm on the clock. I'm gonna go. Man, it's kind of hard. So like I was saying, you said I cut out. I do I do like Jarrett Patterson. I think he can play center
Mm,
better than he does guard, but he has that position versatility. So if I do ever need a guard later down the road, I could have him play guard, play center. I do like Luke Schoonmaker. Now he is a little bit older than I would like to draft. I believe he's around 24. So for me, the way I'm looking at things right now, um, I like that. If I keep going down, to the other tight ends, which I would just switch it over to other tight ends. Payne Durham. I really like him. I think he's a good red zone threat. I could probably get him at 159, so I would hold off on tight ends right now. I already took a receiver. I took a safety. So looking at the offensive tackle class, John Ojukwu, he's a tight end from Boise. I really like how he plays. I'm a fan of his. Um, but right now, I don't know if I would reach there at 166. I don't think it's necessarily a reach, but in my opinion, it would be a reach. NFL teams wouldn't think so. But at the end of the day, I do need someone that I have to take to develop as an offensive tackle down the line, or I could also go corner. So when I'm looking at it, I do like the corners on the board. I do like Garrett Williams. I think he's going to be a solid. Me and you were talking about him yesterday after the show. Well, I think he's going to be a solid corner. I also have picked. So I picked 155, 159, and 164. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go to all. And I am going to draft not an edge rusher, but I'm going to go ahead and go with Boise State's offensive tackle, John Ojukwu.
Okay.
And then I'll let you go. I think you're on the clock already, right? Dang, Juice Shrugs just
Yeah.
went. That was a good pick right there.
Ooh, there.
I was hoping he fell to me right
Scruggs
there.
is still on the board for me here because I pick at 180, which is about to go. And for me, I think this is going to be one of the tougher selections. When you look at the team that I've drafted so far, I've got 4 players on my roster. I've got a corner, I've got an edge rusher, a safety, and an offensive tackle. I highlighted a couple of positions that I wanted. I wanted to see if I could get another offensive lineman, but I wanted a receiver, a tight end, and those were those 3 alongside a potential quarterback. That is. So I've got a couple of positions. I might look to trade down one time, just get another extra 7th round pick and move forward. We'll see if a trade down is possible, if I can do so. But there are a couple of players that I like. I think that there's a couple of receivers that I like down the board. Trey Tucker that I saw from Cincinnati, he's a guy who I want. Dallas Daniels is a guy from Jackson State who could be interesting. There are a couple of good receivers down the board. Tight ends, Josh Wiley is still here. Davis Allen and Brenton Strange. Those are the 3 that I'm really looking at. And then obviously Drew Scruggs is still here as a center from Penn State. I think that there are 3 players. There are a couple of players there that I like at those positions. I think there are a couple of guards as well that might be valuable. Jake Hayner as well. He's still here from Fresno State. There are a couple of quarterbacks that you could look at as well in the late 6th, 7th round. I think, though, it's in my best interest to trade down here, make another move. I know, trade guy, but that's how the draft is. So I might look down and move with Detroit here. They're at nope, they don't got a 7th round pick, but I might look to trade with Denver. They don't got one either. Whoever's got a 7th round pick is where I'm going to move. There we go. 196. We'll see. 181, 252. Will they accept this? No, they won't. And not many good trade down teams, it seems.
Trade downs are hard because a lot of teams don't really want to trade down. Like it's
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go with the Patriots here. Gonna move 180 for 192 and 245. They do not accept it though. So I guess what? Trade down is out the window. And I'm just gonna go with the best player available. Drew Scruggs is on the board. There are a couple of tight ends on the board. But I'm gonna go with Drew Scruggs here because couldn't trade down, unfortunate. But we get a solid center prospect here from Penn State that I like, and I think that he is a valuable player here. He went off the board at 158 for you. I was able to get him here at 180. I like the pick here for myself.
so myself. Can you hear me, Rohan?
You're good. Go for it.
Okay. So for myself, I'm gonna go ahead and go with. I don't know if can you see my screen.
Yep, all good.
All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and go. I'm gonna go Alex Forsythe. He on PFN. I don't know why he's ranked 236. Now I could go tight end right now, but still the tight end class is deep. I could still wait on Josh Wiley if I wanted. I really like Josh Wiley too. So at 159, I'm gonna go center. I'm gonna go Alex Forsythe. Should not be this ranked this low. Should be a lot higher than that. I missed on Juice Scruggs by one pick, which kind of irks me pretty bad. Alex
The
Forsythe,
Raiders screwed you earlier today, and now the Vikings do, taking your guy.
and then I'm
But
right
hey,
back on
you're
the
back on the
clock.
board.
So I do have pick 164. I got 173, 216, 222, all those picks later. I need my tight end. Luke Schoonmaker's still there. Payne Durham's still there. I really like Schoonmaker. I think he's a phenomenal tight end, but his age he's 24, I believe, going to be 25 when season starts. I'm going to go Payne Durham. Good blocker, good receiver. That's who I'm going with.
That's a solid pick. Solid pick there.
And then I'm right
All
back
right.
on the clock already at 173.
There we go. Shoemaker just went at 172. Obviously, to the
172.
Ravens, they need more tight ends.
It's all they draft is tight ends. So I've drafted a safety, I've drafted a tackle, a center of the future. I'm gonna go corner. I think a couple corners on the board that are still there that could be valuable to the 49ers, or I might go edge or D tackle. Those are the three positions I think are the next for the 49ers. Looking at the spot, I do like Byron Young from Alabama. I like Carl Brooks from Bowling Green. Same thing with Jalen Redmond. Those are defensive tackles I really like. The edge class for me after the first two to three rounds, it's not that deep. I like Yaya Diaby, but I still don't think he's that. Honestly, if you don't get someone in the first 2 or 3 rounds, then you're kind of hoping something sticks when you throw shit on the wall. And it's kind of weird to say that, but
That's
it's the
exactly
truth.
why I had to go with Byron Young there. Had to make that trade go with Byron Young at 127 when I had the chance.
There's actually still Jackson Kirkland, and I'm gonna click on this one only because I don't have my notes. My second screen died. This guy actually reminds me a lot of Mike McGlinchey, which is very funny. But I'm gonna
That
go.
means you should draft him.
I shouldn't. I'm gonna go corner. I really like Garrett Williams. I was hoping my screen would be back, my computer would be back up and running. Actually, so I have my iPad, and for some reason, I put it to charge last night, and it didn't charge at all. Kind of bugs me, but I really like Garrett Williams. This is what they have to say about him. I think a sticky corner. Sense of he could play zone, he could play man. One of the first things, this is what they say about him. One of the first things that stands out on Williams' tape is his athleticism. When I watched his tape, I saw more of a safety than a corner, but he's a really good corner at the same time. So, like for me, it's when you play opposite of Devin Witherspoon. No, did he play opposite Devin? Let me check.
No. He was an opposite
No.
Witherspoon. Witherspoon was Illinois.
Yeah, I'm tripping. The colors. This is why I have notes on my computer because I start mixing all these players up because they all have the same color uniforms. Syracuse is orange, so my notes back up. So physicality is aggressive, very competitive. His closing ability is very solid. Now he is recovering from an ACL in 2022. That was one of my red flags.
Well, that's a green flag for the 49ers.
And his size is smaller than advertised. They say he's 6 foot at Syracuse. He measured in at 5'10". He would end up being a slot corner. I also do like Rajon Wright. Now, Rajon Wright's brother plays for the Dallas Cowboys. Rajon Wright has coverage instincts. He's very competitive, and he has developmental upside. 6'2" guy. The only thing that sucks is he misses a lot of tackles. His long speed isn't there, and his ball production isn't there. But when I'm watching him, the length is there. I like him, but I'm gonna go down. There's a player that I really like. His name's Darrell Lewis,
South Alabama.
South Alabama. I really like him. They have him projected at 278. I'm in the 5th round right now. I might be able to get him at 216.
Probably, yeah.
So just because how this mock draft is going, I'll probably get him at 216. So I'm not gonna draft the corner I want yet. Instead, I'm gonna look at my big board I have, my offensive tackles that I like later, because I'm gonna draft another offensive tackle.
Mm.
I'm gonna see what I think about on my because I do see Connor Galvin on my things. So let me double check on what I think of him. It just makes me so mad that Wanya Morris literally went one pick before I could get him.
I was actually thinking because Morris was late in mine and he was available. I was thinking tag team Morris and Bergeron, but went other directions because I like the other players a little bit in terms of their value to the team.
Man,
I went a different direction, but
this is why I hate doing mock drafts because I love everybody that's on the board. Love everyone that is on the board because I watch a lot, but you guys are gonna be very confused on. I've been saying I want to go safety or a corner. You guys are gonna be very confused on what I do right now, and it's all right. I'm a very
guys,
confusing.
this is saying Marco, if you hire him as your GM, he'll be the first GM to miss the pick because he just couldn't pick the guy. That's
You're
what he's
not
trying to tell you.
you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Hey, you'll be in the record board somehow.
But I just took a linebacker and went Dorian Williams because he is gonna be the next linebacker to be one of the 49er greats. So you guys are welcome.
So you got your next disease, Dorian Williams out of Tulane.
I mean, that's better than Aziz. The guy is a size and frame's nice. He got special teams experience, movement skill and production. College production's amazing. Um, I think he could be a Dre Greenlaw, and I think Dre Greenlaw was much better than Aziz. The length is there, the athlete's there. That's who I would go.
All right, there we go. There we go. Where are you next picking?
I'm next picking at 222. No, 216 actually in the 6th round,
Got
but
it.
I got a bunch of seventh rounders I gotta unload. We already have a kicker, so I
Mm.
don't gotta keep any of those kickers. I'm about to unload.
Oh, I was just gonna sign one in undrafted free agency. I didn't. I'm not gonna draft a kicker.
So I got a bunch of players that I could trade up for right now. What I really like is I still want an interior offensive lineman, even though I got a center. I'm gonna trade up right now, and hopefully it works. The player I want is out of Ole Miss. His name's right there, Nick Broker. Let me double check on my notes that I'm looking at the right thing. And I think that's crazy is like when these teams do these mock drafts and everything, they legitimately. So it's pretty cool because like they have all this stuff right in front of them. I have to go through like 10 different pages that I have. So they have an advantage. Like if I had like a secretary doing this for me, I wouldn't have to be having to bring this person like this looking up my notes and finding out what I thought of him at the time. So for me, that's why I'm taking so long. You know, my secretary is terrible right now.
You're your own
Nick Broker,
secretary, Marco. You're calling yourself terrible.
absolutely right. You're not wrong. I think he's so a reliable starter. He's always available. Short area quickness is there. Position versatility. I think he can play multiple positions along the offensive line. I think he can play center, guard, possibly some tackle. Now, his strength at the point of attack could be worked on. His anchor needs to be worked on a little bit. And kind of let's grip of some blocks in the run game. I like him. That's one of the choices. But first, let me try to see if the Lions will actually trade up with me. I'm gonna give them pick 266, 222 for pick 183. Probably not gonna happen.
We'll
Probably
see.
won't. Declined.
Yeah.
Let's see if the Patriots are willing to make a move. Just because I want to get up into that range no matter what. Because I don't want to hold on to pick 266, 222, and 255 for pick 184. They might because they have pick 187, but I doubt it. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to just roll with it.
Hopefully
Let's
some players fall. I mean the board looks pretty solid, so hopefully some players fall.
Antonio Mafia, did just got one off the board. That's a good pick right there.
Mm,
That's a really good pick, especially a late
yeah.
round. Garrett Williams just went. Nick Broker just went. A lot of my guys are just going. And I have to
There
just
goes
sit here.
Charlie Jones.
I just have to sit here and watch them go. Adios, amigos.
Ah, Vejoko from San Jose State.
Oh wow.
He just
Good
went.
point.
Herbig just went at 213. Hayner. There's another good name. Hayner goes one pick before you.
That's actually a solid pick, actually, Hayner.
Yeah.
Going to the defensive tackle room. I would go to the D tackle room. I
Wow.
really
Carl Brooks is still there.
Carl Brooks is still there. Byron Young is still there.
That is a good room.
So the defensive tackles that are there. So interior defensive line that I have. Um, where's he at? Where's he at? Where's he at? To be honest, I think I have Corey Durden ranked higher than both Byron Young and Carl Brooks.
Interesting. Okay. So maybe he's the guy.
But I do like Byron Young. It's like not like super higher than the others. So my notes for Byron Young is strong at the point of attack, physical run defender, ability to take on double teams. But as a pass rusher, it nothing. I didn't really see much from him. And to me, if I'm going to draft a guy deep down in the bottom of the sixth round, bottom of the seventh, I have to have some life. I have to see some life from him. Getting after the quarterback. I was hoping Jalen Redden is there. Looked like he already took off.
Yeah.
Carl Brooks is gone. I'm probably the worst person to ever do mock drafts with, bro, because I literally go through my entire notes just because I have all the time. I have all the time in the world. Carl Brooks makes it much easier when I just type in their names on my
On your notes.
on my Excel and then it comes up. So Carl Brooks, my notes on him is very productive, gets after the quarterback, has heavy hands with power, high motor, pass rusher is has a variety of pass rush moves, but his size and everything is questionable. Probably going to end up being like a base end in the NFL. But the Niners love guys that could play outside and inside. 6'4", could probably stop the run with the 49ers after he develops. That's where it's something he struggled at. I'm going Carl Brooks.
There we go.
And then are you still drafting?
I got 2 picks left. I've got 252, 255.
Okay, I'm on 222, so I'll try to be fast. 222, I do like Incoom.
Incoom's good. He'll probably go earlier.
I think he's gonna go a little bit earlier in the draft. Tight ends are still there. So Niners tight ends are George Kittle right now.
Ross Dwelly, George Ross, and Charlie Warner. But you have Payne Durham, so you're chilling.
And I got Josh Wiley.
There you go. You got 2 tight ends.
I need another tight end. My scouting report on Ross Dwelly, and I took that pick without even looking at my scouting on him. I think
But
Josh
it's a good
Wiley,
report. Wiley's a solid player.
Very good size. Receiving profiles is he more of a receiver than a blocking player? His versatility can line up as a big slot, line up along the line. He's going to develop as a blocker. Doesn't really give you yards after the catch, but that's fine. You don't need everyone on your team to give you yards after the catch. You really don't.
Yeah.
So for me, the size, the receiving ability, his route running isn't the greatest, but I don't got much time longer, to be honest. My fiance wants to have dinner real quick. So I'm gonna try to get my pick out the way real quick.
Let's speed through it then.
I think the Niners need along the defense. I think they need another corner. And that's where I go. That's where I go my guy Darrell Luther.
Okay.
And then the last pick at 255. No, I think Yeah, 255 should be my last pick.
Yeah,
Yep, 255 is
255
my
is the
last
last.
pick.
I have two more, 252 and 255.
How to do it. Jake Moody. I don't
There
care
we
if we
go.
signed I don't care if we traded for a kicker. Jake Moody's the guy. So it would end up being Antonio Johnson, Parker Washington, Josh Ojokwu, Alex Forsythe, Payne, Dorian, Carl Brooks, Josh Wiley, Darrell Luther, and Jake Moody.
Perfect. To finish off my draft, because we are now at 252, there are a lot of players. I want to quickly shout out some players. Daniel Scott out of California, I like. Very good athlete. Some corners. Luther's there still at what do you call it? At edge. I mean, not edge. D tackle. Carl Brooks is here. He's a guy who I'd think about. I do have to go tight end because I haven't got one yet, and I wanted Josh Wiley. He stays here till 253. He's a guy who I like. He's going to be end up here. Two guys, interesting guys, Salvadori and Jake Andrews from Troy. Those are two interesting players there. Wide receiver, I want to give a shout out to Trey Tucker out of Cincinnati. He's going to go way higher, in my opinion. He's a speedster. He's a track guy, but you put him in this offense, he saw not necessarily the best strength, but you put him in this offense, he's Danny Gray. I had him in my first mock draft or second mock draft last year. Trey Tucker's my Danny Gray this year. I think he's pretty darn solid. And so I like him too. And of course, I love Sean Clifford. He's my favorite quarterback ever. But going here at 252, gotta go Josh Wiley. Gotta solidify that tight end spot. And then at 255, like I said, I really like Trey Tucker. I want to go with a wide receiver here, but I do also have to follow up and go with Jake Moody because I mean it's Jake Moody and it's a solid kicker at 255. And the good part about getting a kicker here at 255 as opposed to getting a wide receiver, you get that kicker for the entirety of his rookie contract. You get him for 4 years, which I think is very valuable, or 3 years, understanding all the exclusive rights free agent stuff. So you get him for 3 years. But as you can see on my board, a lot of different trades traded up to get Matthew Bergeron, traded down for Jair Brown, but then used that to trade up for Byron Young and Jacorian Bennett. Drew Scruggs was a factor of one of the trade downs, and then you get my last two picks here at the bottom. So solid draft, I think, overall. Tried to cover a bunch of bases, and that's what we did.
So that's it for today's draft. I think you had a better draft in my opinion. I think I like
You
how
got the more depth, though. You do have more depth. I
I
only
like
took 7 players.
see if I could have, I would have only took 5 to 6 players. Like to be honest, you need if you hit on 3 players in each draft, you're solid. Antonio Johnson, I think is a hit for me. I think Parker Washington is a hit. I think Alex Forsythe is a very good. Dorian Williams is one of my favorite linebackers in the draft class. And then Payne Durham, I think, is going to be a solid player. The only pick I don't love is my John Ojokwu pick. I wish I would have got Nick Broker when I had the chance because John Ojokwu to me, is a developmental player. When I look at him, he has a great height and weight. He has like 3,000 plus snaps. His get off is legit off the line, but he cannot anchor that well. His upside isn't the greatest. He's might have already maxed out what he is. Kind of a guy that is going to probably be a right tackle or a swing tackle in the NFL. So you do have that depth. He does fit the zone system. Got him in the fifth. I could have had him in the 5th round. I think I got him in the 4th. 155 is what? Yeah, 4th.
155 is the 5th.
5th. So I have him graded as a 5th rounder. So I guess I got him at the right spot. But could have gotten a better offensive tackle for the 49ers. Could have actually traded up to get a tackle, and I didn't do so. So I failed, in my opinion. What was your thoughts on your draft?
Thought I did well. Thought I covered the bases. Like I said, there are a couple of players that I liked who I didn't end up getting to draft at the end, who I think the 49ers get a chance to sign. But again, draft boards are real crazy now. The only draft board that really matters is the day of the draft because it's so unpredictable, especially when you go to these later rounds like the 49ers. But I like the value. I thought it was important to address tackle. And Matthew Bergeron, he was the guy who got there. And then a couple of the other guys, I like the trades that I made, tried to secure the best value possible to hit those picks. But I mean, overall, 2 good drafts here. Pretty fun time. Marco, I really appreciate you coming along, obviously, and everybody in the chat. Thank you guys for your input. We'll be back soon with some more content. Until next time.
Appreciate you, brother.